Welcome back, my friends. Another fine episode of the Suited Kings podcast coming to your ears.
We don't know that yet. It could be a really bad one.
And I could just delete it, right? I mean, this is like our fifth take on this one. So.
We could leave it in, though, so the people kind of know.
Yeah.
We're struggling a bit today for some reason.
Yeah, it's a foggy day for me. I was telling Wes that I was like, I'm just not spiced up today. I'm not feeling like top level 100%. And he said he was in the same boat. I actually almost got plowed by some driver today. Sideswipe coming through they blew a red light. Thankfully, my cat-like reflexes saved my life.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah, but so we're still here, thankfully, and it's a bright, sunshiny day. I know, it's usually those cloudy days where we're just like, and sunny days I'm pepped up. But you know what? I feel like after this nice discussion we're about to have, I might feel a little bit better.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So first off, I want to apologize for the missing of an episode last week while Wes was on the WPT voyage. Wes, do you want me to ask you?
Well, so it's kind of funny. The poker, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, okay.
The tournaments I played on there, I fired the 5K.
How'd that go?
I busted level 6.
Okay.
I fired the 1100 4 times.
How'd that go?
We're planning on, well, you already know how the first 3 went based on my answer, but I also busted the 4th.
Okay.
We were going to try, the Wi-Fi was not as good, so I don't even know if we could have recorded, but we were going to try and record, but then I just kept having to fire day 1 again, so we never had the chance. And then at the end, I played a 325, which I actually made it deep in. I got 13th for there were 228 players. So I got 900 some bucks, which is, pretty much peanuts compared to everything else. But, it was frustrating. I felt like there was only one other good player left in the field, and I just ran into a couple big hands. So that'll happen. The flip side of that is one of the nights I played one online tournament on my phone while I was playing. I played the 218 nightly on Global, and I just won it.
That's a hard one to win. That's 208. It's their biggest buy-in nightly to the Blitz.
It is. I've
only won that one time.
Tough tournament. And then I played some high stakes cash online, and I kind of crushed it until I got back, and I lost a chunk of that back. So when I was gone, I made like 11K online, and then the buy-ins from the tournaments on the cruise. I did sell some for the 5K. I won't get into the specifics there, but so I made money from poker on the week, but the online stuff I figure I would have done anyway. So kind of however you look at it. The cruise itself was pretty cool.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I had my own cabin. I could order free room service whenever I wanted.
Free room service?
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's what they did. Most of the food there was free. Like all the other food I got was free.
Okay.
And then when I order room service, if you only order the free stuff, they give you a $7 delivery fee. So the key is you just order something that there's some beverages you have to pay for. So I would order like a $5 green tea, so I could pay less than the delivery fee and get something else.
Oh wait, that would go towards the delivery fee cost.
That would replace it.
That would replace it, right?
The delivery fee was only if you bought only free stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways,
it's a pretty sweet deal, and you got hooked up with this cabin on the ship for free.
Yeah, I got to go for free. Apart from, getting there.
You're a pretty lucky guy.
I am.
I
run good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even
And did you hit up any pools? Did you do any excursions?
Yeah, so on Tuesday we stopped in the Cayman Islands.
I've been there. I like it there.
Yeah, it was cool. I went around, we were only there until maybe 5 or 6 p.m. So there was only so much we could see, but I walked around the town a lot. I went into a lot of shops. I did get some souvenirs. They had probably a dozen jewelry stores right there.
I could see you in your like loafers, shorts, and then like your Hawaiian shirt. And maybe like one of those lays that go around your neck, like the quintessential tourist. You know what I'm saying?
I did. It wasn't a Hawaiian shirt. I had like a light button down shirt on.
Okay, you got
and some like salmon colored shorts.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
I was very clearly a tourist, and I felt very much treated like one when I walked into these jewelry stores.
Yeah. They just tried to sell the shit out of you.
Yeah. So the first one I went in, actually, I really liked because they didn't do that. When I walked, they asked me if I looked at something specific, they would politely ask me if I had any questions, but they weren't pushy. And then the other ones, it got like progressively worse. The next one I went into, the guy, he seemed ready to sell me, but then he realized I told him I wasn't buying today probably. But they offered me something to drink, which I just got a water, but they had like, they would have just given me whiskey. They try and sauce their customers up there.
Holy cow. I've never actually been offered alcohol from someone like that. That's awesome.
I don't know. I'm sure in the U.S. there's something against that.
That's incredible. I mean, I don't know. Casinos used to do it.
Yeah.
They try and sauce you up so you keep gambling there. But
yeah, well, they definitely still do.
That was 7 days long? Well, now you got to pay 100. Oh, yeah, I guess at some place. But anyways, that was 7 days long.
It was like 6 nights. I got there Sunday, and then we got back to Miami Saturday morning. So
Okay.
it was like 5.5 days, 6 nights.
Do you line up any big names for our podcast?
I didn't, unfortunately. I did talk a bunch with Jesse Sylvia, and I was going to bring up the podcast, and I just busted the tournament. And
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Jesse's a legend. I would love to talk with him sometime. So maybe
he's really cool.
Yeah.
And I had
He
played
seemed like
with
a really
him
nice dude.
once before. Yeah, he is really nice.
Yeah, and his wife seems really cool too. She's actually a streamer.
I remember seeing some of that. I've
Or a
watched
vlogger.
A
or
vlogger,
whatever.
yeah. I did. I also I briefly played with Ryan Reese, but he busted right away.
Reese the Beast.
When I got to the table.
That dude is like much taller than I expected him to be.
He's taller than me, yeah, and I'm 6'3", so
Yeah.
he's probably 6'5", 6'6".
He's a tall dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, glad to have you back. Glad to be back in the studio, ready to record the next episode of the WSO Prep series. I mean, it's time. I know you didn't have a very successful, in terms of WPT event, successful.
Yeah, that's okay. And I will say, when I sat down for the 5K, I got so excited for the WSOP. I'm
You
like,
did.
oh, this is the mode I want to feel like I'm in.
The vibe was there.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, welcome back. And WSOP Prep, how to 3-bet correctly. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. First and foremost, there are a few things we want to accomplish when we 3-bet. And there are, times when we want to get more chips in the pot. There are times when we want to get our opponents to fold. And there are times when we're just trying to isolate someone, although that specifically is more of just an exploit thing that you'll figure out at the table.
3 important things to keep in mind on why you're 3-betting. I like it.
So I'm going to briefly cover, when we want to be more polar versus linear in our 3-bets.
Yeah.
Poly, yeah. We're just.
Can you explain what you mean by? Yeah, I know it's just one of those days. Can you explain what you mean by polar and linear?
Yes.
In terms of 3-betting.
So if you're polarizing, what you're doing is you're obviously like 3-betting your strongest hands, your aces, kings, queen, ace, king, and then you're 3-betting some very weak stuff, maybe with a blocker, but stuff that's not even that good of a hand. It could be like a king 5 suited type of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And then linear just means that apart from those strongest hands, your other 3-bets are just going to be your next strongest, maybe ace jack suited, king queen suited, pocket 9s. Like it's sort of like you're just 3-betting all of the best sort of hands.
Okay.
And the times you would like to go polar are when a lot of times it comes up in ICM related situations where, let's say someone opens and you have a bigger stack than them. You can just take a hand with a blocker and 3-bet purely with the intention of just putting pressure on them
pressure
to
on
get
them
them to
for
fold.
ICM, yeah.
And you're not hands that if you get 4-bet, they will be in the muck instantly, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then linearly, you might 3-bet more linear if you are, let's say you're deep, especially if you're trying to isolate someone. Let's say a player who's kind of loose and someone you view as a weaker player opens.
Yep.
And you have queen jack suited, and you're like, well, I could call. Let's say you're in the cutoff. You could call. This is a very playable hand, but
we're 3-betting here so that we don't get any of the blinds to come along or whoever else might want to join in.
Yeah, we assume that this guy is opening wide and he's not going to 4-bet that much.
So that's considered a linear 3-bet. I like it.
Yep.
So we're polarized 3-betting win. Essentially, I mean, like you said, ICM pressuring. That's a good time to use polarizing. Like so. Instead of just, raising aces, kings, queens, et cetera, down the list up to, 9s, 10s, and stuff like that, we're also raising king 5 suiteds, king 6 suiteds, maybe even like jack queen suited could be in the linear range, but
it could be like
But anyways, we're bringing our 3-betting range all the way down to like these kind of shittier hands so that because we know that we're going to get a lot more folds due to the ICM pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, and we won't get too much into the ICM related stuff today, but just good to know, like, there are times, there is a time and place when, like, 3-betting a hand like that is just terrible, but also when it's very good.
Yeah.
But I think for today, we'll talk a little bit more about just the chip EV plays and then, maybe some ICM, some ICM stuff as it pertains to playing short stacked and when you want to 3-bet jam a hand, maybe.
Okay. So just to kind of clarify for listeners, when you say chip EV plays, it's how much you're expecting to win by making these plays in terms of chips?
Purely in terms of chips, yeah. So it would be like exactly how you'd play a cash game, right?
Okay.
In a cash game, you want to do everything that's plus chip EV because chips are literally money.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about this, chip EV in a tournament. It's more when the early stages of a tournament are when you want to play that way. And then the closer you get to the bubble, the more you're factoring in your survival.
Well, let's get into it.
Yes. So let's start. Let's say we're pretty deep stacked. First few levels of the tournament, we're 100 big blinds effective. And we face an early position raise. Let's say under the gun 8-handed. Opens to 2.3x.
How deep are we? Like
100 bigs.
100 bigs, okay.
Yeah. So, and then let's say we are in the hijack. So 2 questions. First off, what is our 3-bet sizing against 2.3x? And then second off, what are your thoughts as far as what hands to 3-bet?
This is going to be a lot different than probably what the solver says. I know I typically in these scenarios specifically early on and when we're super deep, I tend to play a more passive style personally. Just more of a straight, not passive, but more of a straightforward style. Mm-hmm. Sorry, what was rephrase the question? So
100 big blinds deep, early position opens.
What's the bottom of our 3-betting range you're asking?
Yeah.
I'd probably so hijack versus under the gun open. Probably like jacks plus.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's like, and if I were to do a sizing, I know because being that we're so deep, I might actually size it up a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I would probably like maybe even 3.5 to 4x.
Yeah. So that is perfect. The solver approved size is going to 8 big blinds here.
Yeah.
Over 2.3x. So
it probably wants us to have a wider 3-betting range, though, doesn't it?
That's about 3.5x.
Okay.
Right? So kind of. There are only 2 hands that 3-bet 100% of the time. Basically 3. Aces, kings, and ace king suited are the only 3 pure 3-bets here.
Okay.
That being said,
because they're so deep, we want to get money in.
Obviously, yeah. And obviously, like 3-betting queens, jacks, 10s is like good. Ace, king off, whatnot. But the interesting thing about this, the charts, and I think you can apply it pretty well in game, is almost every hand that you play here that you're calling with, you can either call or 3-bet. Like there's some hands like, suited connectors are a little bit better to call. Those small pocket pairs are a little bit better to call, but everything you can mix 3-betting and calling.
And let me rephrase as well. Like, obviously, I'm not only 3-betting jacks, queens, kings, and aces here in these scenarios. I'm just saying, like, in a general thought of it, like,
those are the only ones you're going to do 100%.
Pretty much 100%. I mean, depending, right? Obviously, but I guess my thought on it is, say I have deuces through sevens, maybe even eights, nines. We're just so deep, and like I don't see there's a problem with 3-betting, but I would prefer to. I often just find myself set mining.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting, and I'll flip this over to you. It's like that is probably a solid strategy, and it basically the chart says you should mix, down to ace jack off. Basically, any suited ace, your suited Broadway, suited connectors.
It's funny, though, because on our last episode, I completely said that if there was no ICM implications, I would be 3-betting ace jack off. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but okay, so that's the sort of hand, and in general, where I think it plays better when you are shorter, right?
Okay.
One thing to keep in mind is the deeper you are, the more value suited hands have. The shorter you are, the more value hands like ace 10 offsuit have.
Yeah. That makes great sense.
Yeah. And so last time we were talking about shorter stacks too.
Yeah.
So I think
20 big blinds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that probably played into it as well, where at this stack depth, if you have ace jack offsuit, it sucks to get 4-bet.
Yeah, and it's fold. Yeah, exactly. And I think some other hands I might be 3-betting that I would enjoy is like king 10 suited, like king jack suited, things like that.
Yeah,
hands that I guess I'll have some nut potentiality.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So obviously, like
for being so deep, I'm trying to get the full double. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so let's say, obviously, basically all we said here is, you can 3-bet or call a lot of these hands. And yippee, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, I know that maybe some people at the high stakes or some guys who are actually the GTO nerds are going to like try and mix and, do it exactly the correct percentage of the time. But I think there's a better way to go about it. And so let me ask you, you have king 10 suited, queen jack suited, whatever.
Yeah.
How are you deciding whether you're going to 3-bet or just call in this sort of spot?
So, okay, that's a great question. I like where you're taking this. So, definitely opponent dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think my opponent's tight or aggressive? What do I think will happen if I, if say I completely whiff, is this an opponent I'm going to want to c-bet a lot against or not a lot? Or are they very sticky?
Mm-hmm. And also, I think opponent, not just the guy who opened, but the guys behind you.
And the guys
if you
behind.
just flat.
Yeah.
Are a lot of these guys going to squeeze? If so, you probably want to 3-bet and just get them out.
Right. And that might, if I think that someone has the potential to squeeze behind me, I might be flatting some stronger hands.
Yeah, that's where maybe you flat pocket queens instead of 3-bet.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but, and then also, what position I'm in. If I'm in a hijack and it's an under the gun open. So I guess the reason I was kind of having such a tight range when we initially talked about like Jackson up is because I'm thinking about under the guns range.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's going to be a lot wider this deep and this earlier in this tournament. So that's just kind of my thought on that. But yeah, I'm paying attention to who my opponent is, who's behind me, and then what my image is as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like, do they see me as a clicker? Are they going to be calling lighter because I have 3-bet more often? Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Opponent dependent is exactly what I would say too. I don't, some listeners might not even be familiar with the term randomization, but that's basically, there's spots where theoretically you have two decisions that are of equal value. Like a lot of hands here, you can either raise or call. And some people randomize in some way. It's like, if I need
looking at a clock or something like that.
Yeah, like, I'm supposed to 3-bet this 75% of the time, but so I'm going to do something that gives me a 25% chance of calling and 75% chance of raising.
Yeah.
I don't do that. There was a time when I did it pre-flop online specifically, and I think pre-flop is the time when, even in these sorts of tournaments, you can try and play as close to optimally as possible, just because the later in a hand you get, the more people will deviate. The more their tendencies will come out.
Okay.
But I still won't even randomize this pre-flop now because there's always information of some sort that can lean you one way or the other. And in this case, it's if I'm playing at a passive table where I don't think anyone's gonna 3-bet behind me, I'm more likely to just flat. If there are a lot of aggressive players behind me, I'm more likely to 3-bet. The individual player I'm up against, if I think this player is going to call and then check fold a lot of flops, I'll 3-bet them.
Yep.
If I think they're going to 4-bet me a lot, maybe I just call them.
You flat. Yeah, so I mean there's a lot of things to take into consideration, whether they're going to 4-bet you, is this a hand you're going to also when I'm 3-betting, I immediately think without having to wait to see what their action is, am I going to fold this hand to a 4-bet, to a cold 4-bet or a 4-bet from them?
Yeah. Yeah, you should kind of know that. And then the only thing that could change it is sizing.
Yeah, sizings and things like that, or action in between you two. So things like that. Let me ask you then. So we're 100 big blinds deep. Under the gun opens. You're in hijack. What hands are you 3-betting here? Are you going to deviate from what the solver says? Okay, let's say our opponent is tight. Let's say he's an amateur who you think is pretty tight.
Okay.
Are you going to be expanding your 3-betting range here, or are you going to be tightening it against a player like that?
So tight can mean a lot of things, right?
Right. So okay, go ahead.
Yeah, are we thinking because there are people who are very loose with their opens and then
Tight post.
nitty the rest of the way.
Yeah. No, I'm talking someone who's tight pre-flop.
Yeah.
Primarily. So we're thinking
so if
we've seen him. He's got a very low VPIP essentially.
I would tend to just flat more.
Okay.
Because, basically, if I think this is the type of player who's going to not open all the hands they're supposed to, and so that means they're more weighted towards the strong stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it depends what you mean, because it could mean that they just fold the 3-bets a lot. Maybe they open correctly, but just fold the 3-bets too much.
Okay.
It could go either way. It sort of depends on what kind of type.
Okay.
But if I think they're not opening enough hands, meaning that their open from under the gun is very strong, then you definitely know.
Okay, but vice versa, if you think they're looser pre-flop but tighter post, you think that you might be 3-betting here because you'll be able to just
want to
get them off it. Yeah, isolate them, but then you also your C-bets are just going to get through on so many flops, even if you don't have anything. Okay, that makes sense. And how does this change as it gets shallower?
So as you get shallower, so let's say we're talking about 50 big blinds, so still fairly deep. You want to do a little bit less 3-betting just because there are a lot of hands that you won't be able to call a 4-bet with anymore.
Yeah.
When you're 100 big blinds deep, stuff like Queen Jack suited, Jack 10 suited, if they're 4-betting the correct amount, you can still call this.
Okay.
Now I know we're not talking about 4-betting, but
I think it's okay though because it's part of
the strategy.
It's part of the strategy, right?
Yeah. So one thing I will say is that doesn't mean against your average opponent in a 500 or 1K. I'm actually going to probably be. I shouldn't even say this.
That retraction was amazing.
Now it's gonna change. But historically, I probably would have overfolded to a 4-bet.
Yeah.
Because people in these tournaments,
amateurs don't 4-bet wide ranges typically.
Yeah, let's look. If we're 100 bigs deep, if our opponent 4-bets, we're supposed to call a lot of the suited connectors and pairs and stuff. But that's assuming That's assuming they're sometimes 4-betting, and keep in mind they should mostly flat these hands, but they should sometimes 4-bet Ace Jack suited, Ace 10 suited. 10s.
Again, this is assuming that our opponents know these 4-betting ranges.
Yeah. I think realistically, people might just 4-bet aces through queens and ace king.
Yep.
So
That's pretty. I mean, most of the time it seems like.
yeah. So if I think that's the range I'm up against, I'm gonna overfold.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so
You will never fold to me though.
I
To
mean,
my 4-bet because my
I've
range is a
learned.
lot wider.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna get shown a 4 diamonds or something.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't 3-bet in those turns. So I'm saying I'm historically, don't get any ideas, guys. Historically, I would have overfolded to a 4-bet in this sort of a spot. But that doesn't mean the 3-bet isn't profitable because people under 4-bet. So
Yeah.
I get to actually over-realize my equity because people aren't 4-betting enough.
Okay.
Now, going back to what you said about like if we're a little bit shorter, we want to 3-bet a little bit less. Like we're going to be a little bit tighter in general in the sense that now we're not playing all the suited aces and we're not playing, we're folding more of the suited connector type stuff from the hijack.
So essentially, though, it's like, is it having us pure call all pairs? All pairs up to like fives almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still deep enough to set mine at this point.
At 50, yeah, for sure.
But so previously, and it's funny you mentioned ace jack offsuit because ace jack offsuit at 100 big blinds was more of like a indifferent between fold raise type of spot. Now it's raise or call because, as we kind of alluded to, the shorter you get, the better these sorts of hands become, and the worse those suited connector hands become.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so now it's like we're only calling with ace queen suited, ace jack suited, king queen suited, because those are hands that are quite strong. But if our opponent 4-bets now, there's supposed to be some all-in sizings too, and it just sucks to get blown off of those hands.
Okay.
It's still the same idea where we can 3-bet or call with a lot of the suited broadways or medium high pair type stuff, suited aces.
Let's put the solver aside for a minute and let's take it to the actual streets, okay?
Yep.
We're new scenario.
All in.
Yeah, of course. So against me, you would, right? No, actually, you'd 3-bet small and then fold to my 4-bet. Or no, you would 5-bet. I'd 4-bet. You'd 5-bet small and then fold to my 6-bet, probably.
I don't know if we have any. There's not enough room for a 6-bet from 50 bigs.
It's like 2.2 again. Anyway, so these are going to be the spots that I think are going to be a bit more difficult. So opens in later position, and then you're in later position. These are more of the 3-bet spots that I know for me at least become a little bit more difficult because from when we know our opponent is under the gun, they're supposed to have a tighter range, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes kind of my decisions a bit easier on what I want to 3-bet and what I don't want to. When I think it gets a little bit less clear for me specifically is when my opponent opens hijack and I'm in cutoff or button.
Yep.
How wide should we be 3-betting?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I think so. For example, let's say hijack opens. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hijack. Say we're 45 bigs deep.
Okay.
There's no ICM pressure. Not yet. Say we're maybe a third of the way through the field or something. We're not. We're in the middling stage.
Probably near the end of register. You can still register
somewhere around then. Anyways,
and we're in like a WSOP 800. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And our opponent seems like a good player. Yeah. He seems, he's just capable, right? He's. I can't even think today. Jeez, I swear the lunar eclipse fucked me up.
Oh, that could be it.
Who knows, man? Who knows? But anyways, hijack opens off 45 bigs. We have 8s on the button.
Okay.
What are we doing? He opens 2.2. We're 45 bigs, both 45 bigs deep.
Yeah, that's a good question. Fold? No.
Damn, you are in it.
8s, I would. Okay, so what I would think about first. So this guy is capable, you said. So he could end up 4-bet. Like he can probably 4-bet a decent amount.
Yeah. So say he's a solver studied opponent.
Okay. I'm leaning more towards flatting.
Okay. Are we set mine on 45 bigs?
Well, I mean, I'm continuing on more
Flops. What hands are you going to be 3-betting?
So I could 3-bet some stuff like ace 10 offsuit.
I was going to
ace
ask
jack
like
offsuit.
king 10 suited.
Yeah, king 10 suited is one where like I could see it. I lean towards flatting that. And
Okay. Just try and realize some equity.
Yeah, honestly, my instinct is to 3-bet some weaker like king 8 suited type stuff.
Okay. Is this part of the polarized betting?
This is a little bit more polarized because I think he will.
You got to make him guess because,
Yeah, he's going to. I want to be able. If I think he's going to 4-bet more.
You can just fold that hand then.
Yeah, I can fold that. I don't want to find myself facing a 4-bet with like ace 10 suited, pocket 8s, right? Like,
okay.
I think if I'm 3-betting a pocket pair at this stack depth, it's going to be one that I'm comfortable calling a jam with. Which 8s is, it's not, it's close, but I definitely 10s I'm comfortable going with.
Okay. For like
9s
45 bigs.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of want to mention to people is pay attention to how our hands change dependent on how many big blinds we have. I know this kind of goes without saying to a lot of opponents, but to a lot of players who are not as studied, I think one thing you should realize is that we base what we're going to do with what hands based on how many big blinds we have.
Mm-hmm.
And then our strategy will consistently change and our ranges will either tighten or widen dependent on how many blinds we're playing. So it's important for you to keep in mind when you're 3-betting what hands you're going to be doing with at what range.
Yep. And another to add on to that, it's like how we're doing it based on
what depth, not what range. But anyways,
I didn't even notice.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of it depends on the effective stack, right? That's important too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
can you explain what an effective stack means?
Yeah. Effective stack means whoever has the least amount of chips between you and.
So if I have 100K and you have 40K, I'm playing 40 big blinds effective. Or 40K effective.
Yeah. If you have, let's say we have 70 big blinds, but our opponent has 22.
Yeah.
We need to be playing the 22 big blind strategy, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because that's effective, as the name suggests, that it's effectively what it is. And I think, so the only time that's different is like,
but we can also it might change a little bit because the leveraging of our stack as well.
Well, we're saying there's no ICM though.
Okay.
So pure chip EV, it doesn't. It's like if in a cash game, if I have $500 and you have 200, I know you would top up to cover me, but if you didn't, we're playing for $200 and it doesn't matter. My extra 300 is completely irrelevant.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so if we're saying we're playing purely for chip EV, then we're kind of ignoring the leverage factor.
I think what most people want to hear about, and I think what'll help most people with 3-betting is 3-bet jamming ranges.
Yeah, or like spots where you're not sure if you should 3-bet small or jam.
Yeah. You want to get into some of those?
Let's get into some of those where, we're in the 20 to 30. We talked so much about 20 to 30 big blinds, I feel like.
But again, we're more, we just gave them a taste of what kind of hands we want to play on what we're thinking when we're 3-betting, why we're 3-betting, what is going through our head when we're 3-betting at deep levels. Again, I think the reason why we covered 20 big blind play last week is because that's where you find yourself often at the most. And it's also, like it's a make or break scenario more often. So, you don't also have to, we could work on 30 to 40 big blinds for jamming ranges as well. Because there is some of that.
There are some. What I'd say about that is like, there's not a ton of 3-bet jamming in that range.
Yeah. There's not a lot, but there are some scenarios. Maybe we can touch on that or not, but let's go ahead and get into this next section.
Yeah.
Wes, before we get into this next section here, go ahead and just slap me one so I can wake up a little bit.
All right.
Oh my God. Ouch. All right. Well, I feel better, I guess, now. So let's go ahead.
I feel better, too.
All right. What's next?
Yeah, so let's talk about like 25 big blinds. I think this is the sort of spot where This is the sort of stuff I studied a lot probably a couple years ago. And, we talk about it a lot because you're always going to find yourself in this sort of stack depth in a tournament. But yeah, just knowing when you should just be comfortable jamming it in and, when you should not, when you should call 3-bet small, etc.
All right.
Right now, let's say, 25 big blinds effective, low jack opens, min raise or slightly above min raise, and it folds to us in the small blind. What hands off the top of your head?
They open low jack, we're small blind?
Yep, 25 bigs.
25 bigs.
What are we just for sure going all in with?
Oh man. See, this is where it gets interesting, right? There's no ICM pressure, there is ICM pressure.
No ICM.
No ICM. Okay. Let's see. The bottom of my. Well, let's just make it simple, and I'll just say the bottom of my 3-betting range here would probably be like. You said they were low jack. One more time. Sorry.
I need to hit you again.
Yeah, I know my brain today. I would say honestly, like, gosh, I don't want to sound like a complete scrub. Ace jack suited.
So that's like your lowest suited ace.
Yeah, my lowest suited ace. Yeah.
And then
my lowest unsuited ace would probably be. Low jack is still kind of, it's one after middle position. So it's, this will get, my range will open up as if it was hijack and cut off or button. But anyways, yeah, I think I would probably be.
So, and when you say 3-bet, you mean jam or is there a different size?
I would definitely, I think my lowest non-suited ace would be ace queen off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then pairs, other suited type stuff, other hands.
Honestly, like I might squeeze all the way down to like 7s or 6s.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton or anything like that. And actually, let's back up a little bit. So I said ace queen off. So if we're 25 bigs deep and it's hot and it's low jack opens and I'm small blind, I might go all the way down to like ace jack off and then like ace 10 suited.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better.
Okay.
I just had to think about it for a quick second here.
Yeah.
And this is without looking at a solver. This is just kind of off the top what I'm initially, and things also, again, as we had mentioned in the previous part of this episode, is like I'm thinking about who my opponent is, what his opening range is from the hijack. Should I be jamming here? Like that will help determine if I'm tightening or opening my range up a little bit more. If I feel like my opponent's opening a ton more hands, I might just rip A7 off here.
I've seen you do that for sure.
No, quick short story. I was at a final table online the other night, and I don't remember, there's 6 left or something like that.
I think it was 5, yeah.
And there was one shorter stack. I was second shortest stack, and
I literally, I get back from a walk and I pull up his final table. The first hand I watch, I think it was hijack opens max. It was. You had like 15, 16 big blinds.
Yeah,
maybe.
and the shortest stack had like 11 or 12-ish maybe. Yeah. Anyways, so I took
this guy just rips all in and gets called. He has ace 7 off against pocket 9s, and it's like ace king 7 ace whatever run out.
We run good. You know what? I just knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. No, but my opponent had a 90% VPIP pretty much, so. I was just trying to exploit that, so I shoved a little bit wider this time. Obviously, that's something I know is typically a punt and something I wouldn't usually do, but I took that spot. He actually had a hand this time, and you know what? If they do have a hand, you just get there. Yeah, you just get there. So
it's easy.
And also, one more thing I want to say to that, Wes, is if you're not punting occasionally, you're not trying hard enough.
There's probably some truth to that.
And then lastly, one more thing I want to touch on that was super funny about this was that Wes was like, I'm going to go on a walk. I might pull up your table and sweat it later. So he never got back to me that he was sweating it. But so I made that play. And the first thing I thought was, I was like, if Wes was watching this, I'm going to hear from him. And then
I just say,
and
yo.
And then 2 seconds after I have that thought, I get a text that says, yo.
I'm like, that was a punt, right?
My response was absolutely. So that was fun.
Yeah, I was just in shock. I was like,
yeah. It's a spot that I typically wouldn't take, but I didn't feel bad there, so I went with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, so we're back to this 25 bigs.
Oh, is that what we were talking about?
Small blinds, small blind versus low jack.
Tangents.
So, yeah, I think as far as the offsuit stuff, I like where your head's at. Ace jack plus.
Yeah.
Just rip it in. Pairs, kind of same thing. You could probably go lower than that.
What did I say? 6s, 7s?
sevens, I think.
You think sixes too?
I think, yeah. It's kind of murky.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
if
I'm not loving it, right?
Yeah, you're not loving it. It's definitely like plus EV with some of the lower pairs too. But it's also the sort of thing where if the big blind is someone who you know just doesn't squeeze that much, maybe you just call and set mine.
Okay.
The one thing,
On 25 big blinds, I don't like set mining too much, but yeah.
You're still getting a good enough price.
Yeah, and there's
from the small
it's a lot of implied value there, but go ahead.
Yeah, you can still do some of that from this. Like, probably don't want to do it from the button, right?
Right.
Because you're putting in the full two bigs, but small blind is a little bit.
You're already
cheaper.
half a blind in there.
But on the flip side, as far as suited aces,
We just send ace 5 suited in.
I think that's fine. I think like the ace wheel suited is fine here, but I think the ace 10 type stuff, ace jack suited, might be in the 3-bet small or flat type. The suitedness of the hand makes it more playable.
Okay. What does it say about a7 off in this specific?
Oh, and the charts actually,
it has small rip it percentage.
It has a small 3-bet small percentage, but never rip.
Man.
Ace 9 off is the hand you want to 3-bet small and fold.
Fold too. Okay.
Yeah. Although honestly, I might it's fine to just fold it too. Okay, so now that I am, I had kind of peeked at what the chart said before I said all that. Actually, ace 5 suited, it wants to just call.
Okay. Okay.
Let's
Realize some equity.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 0.01 big blinds better than going all in, so it's not that big of a difference.
Doesn't really matter much. Okay.
Yeah, ace 10 suited, you want a flat. Ace jack suited, you want a 3-bet small or flat. How about the suited broadways?
That's when, honestly, yeah. I mean, I might be just like sending king 10 of clubs in there.
Yeah. Not diamonds though.
No, spades and clubs. No, actually, yeah, spades and clubs. I don't like red cards.
Well, maybe you want to just send it in with red cards because you just want to get the folds because you're not going to hit.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point too. Yeah, I don't hit with the red cards as much as I do the
This
I
is
hope
a
you guys
pivot.
enjoy listening to our podcast. We're professional poker players.
This is going to be the episode where we either blow up or people just stop listening to us. I don't like the red cards as much, so that's how I changed my strategy. We're getting ready for this. Is how we're gonna win a bracelet this summer.
This is why you're on a lower level than me, Wes, because this is like the true meta game right here. Like you talk about, we talk about big blinds and 3-betting and plus chip EV plays, but once you start talking in like suits, that's the next level. Like colors of the suits, that's even the next level.
Well, I think colors would come before suits because there are only 2 colors, but there are 4 suits.
Well, if you're playing online, there can be 4 suits.
I prefer that. And
Okay.
so on a more serious note, I mentioned that I used to do a little randomization pre-flop. I would just choose suits each day. I would be like, okay, diamonds are my most aggressive, spades. I would rank them in terms of which ones I'd be more aggressive with.
Oh, interesting.
If I knew there were hands I should mix up my strategy with.
Why'd you quit doing that?
I just felt like there was always better. I thought that online I needed to play really close to GTO and stuff, which I think in the cash games you should more. But in tournaments, there's always so many more things, and the players are just so... I should say it depends on which tournaments you're in, but like the tournaments I play in, I feel like there are better ways to decide between...
Okay.
Two decisions that would otherwise be of equal value. You can always, based on the player or the field you're in, you can.
Do you want to get a taste of what poker strategy was back in like the 80s and 90s, before even 2000? So I'll just give you a quick story here. This is a tangent, obviously. We're talking about 3-betting, but you know what? You just had me thinking about this. So
we're talking about colors.
So red colors, black colors. Those are your 2 favorite colors. Black's actually a shadow. It's not a color. Anyways. No, so my dad would tell me, my grandpa would always tell me, he's like, if you have an ace, a jack, or a 4 in your hand, you have to play it because on every board there will always be at least an ace, a jack, or a 4.
What?
That was the strategy. That was when there was no strategies. You know what I mean? This is probably prior to, what was it? Tex Dolly's book, Super Hold'em. What the heck is it called?
Super System?
Super System, yeah.
If you have a 4, you should always play it.
Pocket fours flop more sets than any other set.
Now we know what Robbie J. Lou is thinking with Jack 4.
Oh, there we go. Yes. See, there you go. Okay, cool. All right.
Oh, man.
Anyways, yeah, I'm editing that part out. Psych.
Good Lord. that might be the biggest tangent we've had.
It's just one of those days, Wes. I'm sorry.
It is. No, that's okay. I feel like people will enjoy it.
I hope so. Anyways, yeah. So back to it. So okay. So let's take the same scenario where hijack opens. We're in small blind. We're 25 big blinds deep.
Low jack.
Or low jack. Excuse me. Let's move it up to cutoff.
Okay.
So 2 positions later.
Yeah. Oh, and before we do that, I should read off what the solver proved.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
So low jack opens, small blind, we should rip in, ace king through ace jack offsuit. Pairs, like we can go down to pocket 4s even.
Okay.
But
because they flop the most sets.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
All right.
Suited broadways, we can pretty much rip those all in.
Okay.
They'll have enough equity against
all the way down to 10 jack suited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, for whatever reason, king jack suited is the one we can flat the most, but it's sort of indifferent.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't, if we're gonna flat, I wouldn't do it because it's king jack. I would do it,
And keep in mind, guys, this isn't with ICM pressure. This is when there's no ICM in play. You're not going to really want a 3-bet rip Jack 10 suited approaching the money bubble with 25 big blinds deep.
Yeah, if you're putting yourself at risk for sure.
Yeah.
But I think and so we can jam up to queens and like aces and kings. We want to 3-bet more to like 7 blinds, which is the same size we want to use with like the ace 9 offsuit. The random like queen 8 suited type stuff. We can jam or call with ace 4 suited, ace 3 suited. And then a lot of the stuff we're flatting is like offsuit, king queen, king jack, ace 10, and then some suited like 10-9 suited through, 9x suited up down to 10, like, you know what I mean? 10-9 suited
Spit
through
it out already.
ace 9 suited, 9-8 suited through ace 8 suited, and then like suited connectors, suited aces, those are hands we should just kind of flat with.
Okay.
I think conceptually, one good thing to take away from this, and, if we're going to look at the cutoff for small blind, it's very easy to, and I've come across this both in coaching sessions and in our Discord a bit, where it's easy to put too much value on your tournament life. Not too much value, but like, feel as if when you shove 25 bigs, you are sort of blowing up your tournament, right? I think there's something where if you're not well versed and like if you're not in the habit of
this is going to be common amongst people who don't play a lot of tournaments.
Yes. It can feel punty to rip in 25 bigs with queen jack suited when you're, it's like, oh, if I call and just check fold, I still have a stack, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that you need to realize in this sort of a spot is we're doing what's going to get us the most chips in the long run. So when we 3-bet jam 25 bigs, we're going to get it through a lot. And so that means we pick up the big blind and ante plus the raise. So we're going to have like 29 bigs after this.
So if we were going to do this over a sample size of 100 times, we would technically profit.
Yes, we would. At the end of the hand, we would have more chips on average than we would by taking another strategy.
Yeah.
And
sample size is very important when it comes to like these types of things. Like you think they might not be the right play, but again, these assume that if we were to do this over and over and over, that this is what we would get out of it in the long run.
Yeah. And we'll look at why that is. So let's say small blind, as the small blind, we go all in. I'm not even saying what hand we have. It doesn't matter. But like if so the big blind folds, the low jack will have to fold 65% of. They can only profitably call with 35% of the hands that they opened with. So 2/3 of the time, basically, we're going to pick up those blinds and be up to 29 bigs.
Okay.
And so that's a big win. When they call, we can still win, right? Sometimes we're favored, sometimes we're not. But the other thing is they're supposed to call with like ace jack off and pocket sevens and ace 10 suited, king jack suited is on the cusp, but like king queen suited, even a lot of players, even me sometimes, will fold these hands. So it's like I think in these sort of fields you can make an even more profitable jam than you should be able to, because people will fold. You know, if you're someone who thinks, oh, I don't want to jam these 25 big blinds. Well, imagine you're the person who opened and someone jams 25 big blinds on you. Like, do you want to call with ace jack off and pocket sevens? You're probably the type of player who would want to fold these. And so think, if you notice someone else, you know what I mean? Like, you can really take
it's a great, put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can really
then you kind of understand how your play is, going to be more beneficial rather than just thinking about how you're going to do better, think about it.
Yeah. And also, when you're out of position and you get to flip for your whole stack with the dead big blind money in there.
Yeah.
A lot of times that can be, that's not a terrible thing, opposed to calling and playing a pot out of position with a medium strength hand, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so just something to help people get over that aversion to ripping in a larger stack, right? So you had mentioned, cutoff versus small blind. So same scenario, but cutoff opens. How much wider are we going?
Yeah, so I'm going to go probably for 25 bigs. Deuce Nukem, right? I might go all the way down to the deuces.
Yeah.
Dependent, obviously.
For those who don't, people probably know that's your Twitter handle. That's your online name.
Yeah. So, Deuce Nukem is my Twitter handle. If you aren't already, make sure to give me a follow on Twitter. While I'm on this topic, go ahead and click the top post on my Twitter as well to join our Discord.
Get in the Discord.
Yeah. So hop in.
We talk about what color cards are our favorite.
Yeah, and why they're specific colors are better than others.
And why there's a 4 on every flop.
And then how to mix specific colors to get to the color of your choosing, like if you're painting or something.
I feel like people should have been prop betting on this episode. Like, what will they talk? Will painting be brought up?
We're doing a transitional episode. So this is an experimental episode. We ate a bunch of mushrooms before. We ate a bunch of mushrooms before we did this.
That would be an interesting one if we actually did.
I was wondering why your face was kind of like waving back and forth and everything is like green. I don't get it.
You know what, though? Ever since I got off the cruise, there have been times when my head, when you're on the ship, you can feel it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I've still felt that in my head a little bit these last few days.
So I experienced that same thing. There's probably a term for it, but yeah, you're on a rocking ship a lot and then you get off and even days later, you still have that rocking motion. Like you feel like you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I still kind of feel that.
All
so
right.
Maybe that's my excuse.
Tangents.
So you're jamming pocket deuces.
Okay.
Here.
Again, this isn't 100% of the time. I'm kind of going with my feeling at this point. Who's opening the cutoff? How close we are to the money bubble? What tournament it is? Things like that. Who's behind me in the big blind? How big are stacks? What is this a pot I need to win right now? Things like that. As for non-paired hands, probably like I might do like ace 8 suited and up, ace 7 suited and up.
Yeah.
And then as for offsuit, maybe like ace 10 off and up, something like that.
Yeah. You're very close to what the charts would say, and I would probably lean more towards what you said. Even suited aces, I might go with like close to like all the wheel ones even.
Okay.
And then offsuit you can 3-bet jam ace 9 and ace 8 off as well, but you don't have to. It's kind of one of those break even ones where you can also just flat those.
Yeah.
I usually would lean more towards that. And then like All the pairs are
I'm not
profitable
jamming.
jams.
Yeah, I'm not jamming lower suited connectors typically often.
No, yeah, this is a spot where a lot of them, those cards you want to either fold or just flat with.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
10-9 suited is the first one you want to jam. And yeah, like all the suited broadways you still jam. Most of these suited ace, like ace 10 and ace 9 suited are actually, and ace deuce suited, those are the ones you should like flat.
Okay.
3-bet mostly.
Okay.
But yeah, like king queen offsuit, jack 9 suited you can jam here. King 9 suited is
Jack 9 suited?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's just
So it's 9-10 suited and up, huh?
Yep. Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of them that are close. Like queen 9 suited, we're technically supposed to flat, but it's like.
But can
almost,
you guys who are listening see how quickly the range widens for us to 3-bet compared to what position the opener's in? So from low jack to high to cutoff is two more positions to their left. So
yeah,
just those
good
two.
math.
Well, some people don't know positions.
That's fair.
Anyways, I just learned them yesterday. So
that explains it.
If only they were named after colors. So two positions. So yeah, cutoff, it goes, low jack, high jack, cutoff button, small blind, right? So the difference between what I'd be 3-betting in the small blind to a hijack open from a 3-bet from the cutoff to a 3-bet from the small blind. Holy cow, that's word soup. Anyways, it widens my range a lot, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you can see how quickly these things sort of compound. Like one person has a range that should be wider because they opened later. So now your position in the small blind, you should 3-bet wider, and then which means that the big blind, if they wake up with something, they should 4-bet wide, all sorts of things.
Exactly. So the later position the person opens in, the wider your 3-betting range should technically be. And then that goes to super wide. So imagine it folds all the way to the small blind and to the big blind. Should we be 3-betting wider as a big blind to a 3-bet, should we be 3-betting wider as the big blind to a small blind open?
Maybe not to a small blind open,
but to a
small
button.
Blind can limp in a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hands.
Yeah.
As the big blind, if you're against the small blind, that's the only time you get to play in position. And so another thing we didn't even mention is like one thing about 3-betting from the blinds that's good is that, when you're in the blinds, you have to play out of position to everyone.
Yeah.
So when you 3-bet, you can either just take down the pot right away, or you can make the stack to pot ratio smaller so that it makes it easier to play post flop.
Okay.
Less decision points. I was gonna back. So let's say we're in the small blind, but it's under the gun that opens. Now what are you thinking about jamming in there? What do you think?
If we're in the small blind and under the gun opens, it's gonna
8-handed.
So 8-handed. So again, as aligned with what I was just mentioning, I'm gonna have a much tighter range here, being that it's an under the gun open. For 25 bigs, I would say probably, gosh, and I don't even love it. Like I'm thinking 10s is my bottom of my shipping range, and I'm just not even loving it. But
yeah,
I would probably rip 10s, potentially even 9s.
Yeah.
But 9s is like probably the bottom.
Yeah, I was thinking I would do 8s, but now I just, like, the chart says 9s. I feel like 8s, yeah, I guess kind of 9s through jacks are those hands where they're very strong, and if you get all in, they're still usually pretty strong, but they're also very vulnerable. We're like, the aces through queens and then ace king suited, those are the types of hands you can 3-bet small, right?
Yeah.
Which in this case would be something like 3x, you're out of position, but you're also short, so you don't need to go like 4.5x like you would sometimes. Yeah, I think the hands that you can just 3-bet jam out of position, and this goes for a lot of scenarios. The hands that you can 3-bet jam out of position for a lot of big blinds against even a pretty strong range is like 9s through jacks, ace king off, ace queen off. Those are hands that you can just blast in from out of position because they are very strong, and they're like the strongest hands that are still quite vulnerable and don't always flop that well.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you want to take a look quickly at how this changes if we're in the big blind? Because the big blind and small blind are a lot different, where if you face an open and it folds to you in the big blind, you're closing the action and you're getting a cheap price. So there's a lot more incentive to just call.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. And then after that, we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah. Or we can talk about colors and fours more.
I mean, maybe just start holding a podcast.
All right. So let's say we're in, let's say it's low jack opens again, but this time we're in the big blind. Quick reminder. So in this spot, if we're the small blind, we're going to jam a lot of suited Broadways, pairs like fours plus, ace jack offsuit, some ace wheel suited. Yeah, that's about it. So you're in the big blind now. What sort of hands are you ripping? And, I think a good place to start is I just mentioned the ace king off, ace queen off, jacks through nine. So spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Those are like the best hands to jam in. What else are you going to throw in there, if anything?
At 25 bigs. And remind me the opener's position.
Low jack.
Low jack again. Again, like you had mentioned, kind of disclaimed earlier, I'm going to be flatting a lot here and just trying to play post flop. You kind of nailed most of the hands I'm going to be jamming. Did you say? So I'm gonna. What hands did you say? You said aces, kings, queens, down to jacks.
Well, so aces, kings, queens actually just want to.
All right, the min three bet small. Excuse me. Yep. Hands I'm definitely going to be jamming here. Ace queen off. Mm-hmm. Ace jack off. I don't think so. Potentially dependent on my opponent. Ace jack suited. So it's curious. I'm trying to think. Like, what do you think about ace jack suited? Are these hands we should be? We should be flatting more and trying to realize equity before ripping them in.
Yeah, I think. The ones I had said were ace king off, ace queen off, and then nines through jacks.
Yeah,
I think you can go a little smaller. Or not smaller, but you can jam some of the smaller pairs too.
If I was sub 20, I'd be taking ace jack suited, ace 10 suited. I think in 25, I'd probably be just flatting those hands, seeing if there's any equity, and then, playing somewhat of not a stop and go strategy. If I was like...
just kind of playing normally.
Yeah, play normally, yeah. If I was... Anyways, we're not going to talk about stop and goes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think... So... If we look at what the chart says, you should jam some ace 3 suited, ace 4 off, king 9 suited, jack 10 suited. Kind of unintuitive. Spoiler alert, am usually not going to be doing that stuff. It's mainly going to be ace king off, ace queen off, and then pair the up to jacks and then down to maybe sixes or sevens. The smallest pairs, it seems a little bit much to jam these against this. I would definitely jam them against a later open.
Like a cutoff plus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conceptually, one reason you want to do this too is let's say you have pocket threes and cutoff opens. Well, they're going to have a lot of hands, right? And basically anything, most of their range you're just flipping against. But then when you jam, they just have to fold. They're folding out a hand that has about 50% against you.
Yeah.
Someone in the low jack, when they open, they're going to be a little bit tighter, which means that pairs are going to make up a larger percentage of their range.
Yeah.
So when you don't want...
You're going to be dominated more?
Yeah, it's not as profitable to rip in those smaller pairs for this many blinds because you will just run,
You just get snapped off and have 20% equity or whatever.
Yeah, that's going to happen a lot more. So when you rip in, the pairs you want to start jamming tend to be more like sevens, stuff where you're going to be ahead of some of their pairs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sevens being probably the bottom.
Yeah, well, you don't want to jam sixes or fives, but apparently, according to the chart, there's something about pocket fours where you can jam again. It's probably something to do with hands you unblock,
Okay.
But I would probably just flat fours here. I would, in a lot of the fields that I'm playing in, I just trust my ability to outplay post flop more. So if it's a spot where it's very close, I'm going to lean more towards let's play more.
I think that's fair too. I mean, it's almost kind of like an exploitative thing too, because you know you're better than your opponents, so you'll be able to either take advantage of them on specific boards or just find value and then get extra value because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's well said.
Yeah.
Anything else we should look at?
I think that's good for now. I'm probably going to take a nap after this episode. I feel my age creeping in.
Oh, man.
I need another cup of coffee or something. No, but I think this has definitely been super insightful. I would strongly encourage listeners to hop into our Discord. Again, at Deuce Nukem on Twitter. Click the link at the top of my profile there. Free access to our Discord. Still popping off. We got people talking poker hands every single day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just free coaching advice and stuff going on in there. So
basically,
yeah.
I will say 1 out of every 10 comments I make is completely wrong. No, just kidding.
It's probably more like 9 out of 10. So, God. Anyways, make sure to go in there. We also have, we have a bunch of different channels that you can talk in. We have one called Episode Feedback, where we'd love to hear, your feedback on past episodes, but also give ideas of topics you'd like for us to cover in the future. I think we have a lot of good content that we might be missing out on that, maybe you could think of, and we'd love to kind of explore those options as well. So,
yeah, we love your guys' ideas. I know we've done 1 or 2 episodes that were based on suggestions.
And we definitely we listen to your feedback and we take into consideration for sure. So
we do. Let's do a quick recap of what
3
we talked
betting.
about.
I think that's a great idea. Go ahead.
So when we're deeper, it tends to be more of a linear thing.
More of by linear, you mean straightforward, like
Yeah, and it's more. We can mix a lot more hands. I feel like.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I think the biggest takeaway for a lot of people will be when you're shorter, when you're in the 25, 30 big blind range, when you are out of position. So when, we only looked at the facing a raise in the blinds, right? But when you're out of position, there's a lot of incentive to just 3-bet jam, because playing out of position, you're just going to be
at such a disadvantage.
Yeah. And you can go a lot wider than I think most people are used to doing.
Okay.
There's so much value to just taking down a few blinds, because that's going to add, it could be, in this situation, it would be something like 16% to your chip stack when you just take down the blinds right away. And then if you do get called, like, it's okay to flip. It's okay to occasionally be in a spot where you're behind. Don't be afraid to take those spots. But yeah, when you're shorter and out of position, definitely 3-bet rip a lot more than I think a lot of people would do.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be afraid, because a lot of times, I like you had said earlier, it's like you way too much on your tournament life where you could just call and then check fold if you don't hit, play a little too straightforward. Whereas in the long run, you're going to be printing money if you take some of these jam spots. So keep that in consideration, but don't use that as a specific excuse. Make sure to if you take moves like that or make moves like that, to put into a solver or talk to a friend about it, and make sure that it's the right move so you don't continue making errors. So I think that's important. And then another thing I want to talk about is what we're thinking about when we're 3-betting. So if we're in later position, who is my opponent? Are they aggressive? Are they a tighter opponent? That'll help decide if I'm going to 3-bet wider or not. Who's behind me? Are they aggressive or not? Do they have tendencies to squeeze? Should I be trapping hands instead of 3-betting? Anything else I missed on that?
No, I think when we're deeper, we should 3-bet with the knowing what we're planning to do if we face a 4-bet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a pretty strong hand and you're deep, if you would fold it to a 4-bet, maybe that means you should just flat it, right?
Right.
But if
try and realize some equity,
that doesn't mean you should definitely 3-bet hands that you would fold to a 4-bet, but make sure those are actually hands that you're fine not seeing the flop with, right?
Right.
And there was one more thing I was going to say. Yeah, so obviously there are infinite spot. Like one of the things I realized in these 2 WSOP Prep episodes is we spend an hour looking at these spots and it covers almost nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Really.
And so, you know, to really play your best game, you will need to do a lot of this studying on your own.
Yeah.
But one thing you can take away is like, you know, so when you're shorter, what hands make the best 3-bet jams from the big blinds? Well, it's the hands that are strong enough, but also a little more difficult to play post flop. Like aces, kings, and ace king suited. You want to 3-bet those smaller, right? Because you're trying to get value.
Because you're just dominating so many hands. You have so much equity.
Correct.
Yep.
And then it's like those medium to high pairs that will almost certainly see an overcard.
Right.
And then the ace, king, ace, queen off, ace, jack off, those make good all-ins.
Yeah.
Right.
Well said.
Yeah. A lot more we could go into.
Yeah.
It kind of
Well, that's why we're making this a multiple series thing. You know, this is, again, very surface level thing. And I know, 3-betting can just get very in depth, and we could go, you know, study a million different positions, a million different stack sizes. Our goal here today was to just kind of tell you our thought process so that it can help you study or think about it better when you're in that moment ready to make a 3-bet.
Absolutely.
Cool. Wes, I'm going to go back. Once we're done recording, I'm going to slap the shit out of you because I owe you one.
You do.
It didn't wake me
up. I know
up.
It'll be weak anyways. So
nice.
Do it as much as you want.
No, but this was a good conversation. We'll be back next week. We have some cool interviews also lined up, so excited to get those out for you guys. We're back on the every Thursday grind again, so we'll see you next Thursday for our next episode. And hope you guys have a great night, day, morning, sleep.
Oh my God. I thought we were going to escape this.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.